Greetings, Miss Nigeria here from Heart and Soul Goals, a place where spiritual women and ambitious women can learn how to balance their ambition with their sacred self-care. So there is a lot of confusion out here about the difference between self-love and self-care. It's become a really common and popular concept nowadays, and so I wanted to shed some light on this area so that you have a really good understanding of the difference between the two. Now, when I first began going through my journey of learning to love myself, I learned about self-love more from a spiritual perspective. So according to the Path of Self-Love, which is directed by Christina Rilo, they say that self-love is a path, a practice, and a choice. So when I talk about self-love, I'm speaking more so of spiritual self-love, and I speak about it from the perspective of self-love as a spiritual practice. Now, self-love actually is comprised of many different things. It could be anything from self-acceptance, self-awareness, self-appreciation, as well as self-expression, self-care, self-trust. All those are some examples of aspects of self-love. Self-care is actually a component of self-love. And so what do they have in common? Well, they're all about creating a better and healthier relationship with yourself, but self-care really relates much more to your actual well-being. It's really about the choices that you're making on a daily basis to make sure that you can get all of your needs met on a mental level, on a physical level, on a spiritual level, on an emotional level. And it's really about learning how to show up in the world so that you can be healthy and well and thriving, so that you can be a woman who is in the world with your cup overflowing. So quite often when you think about self-care, a lot of us think about, images of us taking bubble baths, getting our hair done, getting our nails done. But my definition of self-care is centered more so around, just being able to take care of your mind, your heart, your spirit, your body. It's really about taking personal responsibility for your well-being. Self-love, on the other hand, really deals more so with your spirituality and your psychology. It's about creating a really healthy relationship with yourself through the process of getting to know yourself. It's about learning to reparent yourself, because in this world that we're living in, there's so many of us that are just out here stressed out and struggling and thinking that we're not enough. And a lot of this comes from our childhood issues. And so when you're growing up, which most of us have, when you're growing up and you're struggling with trauma from childhood, or you just didn't get the attention that you needed, the love that you needed, on some level, all of us have some childhood trauma related to this concept or this idea or this belief that we're not enough. And so as we grow older, we begin to take on those beliefs, and we have actions and behaviors that reflect those beliefs. And so when you are a woman or a man who is wanting to take responsibility for your well-being, we start doing that through the process of reparenting ourselves, giving ourselves everything that we never got when we were children, and learning how to love ourselves again. So when we speak about self-love, we're speaking about the process of learning to bring your love, to call your love back to yourself, learning to nurture yourself the way that you needed to be nurtured when you were growing up. And that happens through a daily spiritual practice, that can involve anything from prayer, affirmations, journaling, meditations. Those are just some basic examples. So to sum it up again, self-love actually is comprised of many different components. It could be anything from self-trust, self-acceptance, self-awareness, and self-care is actually an aspect of self-love. So when you think about self-care, I want you to think more along the lines of wellness and energy, and making wise choices so that you can show up as a human being who is healthy and whole and well and getting all of your needs met. When you think about self-love, I want you to think more along the lines of your spirituality, your psychology, learning how to actually create a healthier relationship with yourself. And this self-love practice actually is very good for learning to also create great relationships with others, because it is the ultimate foundation for healthy relationships with all people. So I hope that this helped you to have a better understanding of the difference between self-care and self-love as you navigate this journey. In my business, I actually incorporate both of these aspects because they're very, very important. So if you want a little bit more information about how you can get started, if you check the links below, you'll see a free self-care quiz that you can take. It'll help you to understand how well you're taking care of yourself. There's also a link that will give you some basic ways and some basic practices you can look into if you want to start a self-love practice for yourself. So I look forward to seeing you be healthy, be well, bringing more love to your life, and I will see you in my next video.